All right, Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports 1 and now Sports Illustrated. Deepest schedule of the season for Fox. Now that the Big Ten has acquired the rights to the conference, there's one game in mind that stands out in the schedule more than the others. It's Ohio State, Michigan. How big is that going to be for the network?
Oh my God, it's huge. I'm trying to remember. We were at a dinner with a bunch of us who worked at Fox and FS1. This is before the deal was announced, and everybody was kind of talking about how, hey, we're gonna, we could get this game. And it was like, I remember, I was sitting across from Joel Klatt. There was about 8 of us or 10 of us, and somebody was like, yeah, you could be calling the Michigan Ohio State game and how big that is. I mean, we all grew up watching that game, probably more than any other. For me, that was the biggest game. I grew up in the Northeast, where there was no real college football. There was Boston College and maybe Syracuse, but when it came to it, Michigan, Ohio State were basically on along with Notre Dame all the time. It wasn't in an era when you'd have 60 games on a weekend of pretty much you could see every game. So just to have that game and have where Penn State is now as that program come back, obviously with what Harbaugh and Urban have done, I mean, the profile of the conference has just skyrocketed in just the last couple of years. But that is the flagship game, right now college football, because you look, both those teams coming off what they've done, they're top 10 caliber teams. You can talk about the Auburn-Alabama rivalry. Alabama's great, but Auburn has struggled the last couple of years. I wouldn't put it on that level. That is a more regional game, where the Michigan-Ohio State game really is just a national brand.
And also with the expanded schedule this season, you mentioned in the podcast, The Audible, back a couple months ago, I think, you got elevated to the second broadcast team. So you're going to be working with Joe Davis and Brady Quinn this year. How big is that to be able to get into another spot, potentially doing one of the conference championships?
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I mean, last year the crew I worked on, I worked with Joe and Brady for 4 games last year, but I worked mostly with Tim Brandon and Spencer Tillman. We had the Bedlam game, which was a big game beside the Big 12, but just the level of games at Fox and FS1 are going to be so much better this year. With all the Big Ten, so I think that is a help. But then to jump up with those guys, and it's really exciting for me just because Brady and I get along great. We kind of hit it off right away. And Joe is such a rising star in the business, and I live in LA. And he's the guy who's followed Vin Scully on Dodgers. I mean, that's a pretty awesome responsibility and opportunity for him. And so I know I'm with guys who are really rising stars in the broadcast business. So that part is great. We got a great producer who had been at ESPN for a long time, Bo Garrett, and so I can't wait for this season. I think we have a double Thursday-Saturday opener for us, so our crew has 2 games, and then we're rolling. I mean, it's gonna be a fun season. I really can't wait. I mean, I know it's still a month plus away, but just this is a great time of year, and for me as a person who's covered a ton of games, mostly in the press box till the last couple of years, it's just been like so energizing to go out, and I get so fired up about being at games. Where, I'm on the field 2 hours before kickoff, and just it's an adrenaline rush the whole way.
Yeah, going from TV to the other side of things with writing, obviously Fox Sports had their cuts back in the summer. You and Stuart Mandel had that podcast called The Audible. Now with Stuart Mandel going to The Athletic, I know it's competing brands technically, but any hope of that being revived now that he's been employed?
I hope so. We talk a lot, and we've gotten, it's been really humbling and great to see all the feedback we've gotten on it. And, we really, I love doing it. I know he did too. The other day when Hugh Freeze gets forced out, in the wake of that scandal, we both, and a lot of people even said this to us, is like, don't you wish you had the podcast to kind of talk about it? Just because it's different than writing. You can have different layers to it in a conversation. And I think one of the reasons why I feel like our podcast resonates is because I think we were both pretty honest about, covering the sport. And sometimes, nothing's black and white. And you miss that format and that forum the way it was. So, we've had a lot of opportunity and a lot of interest, and I don't say I'm confident. I'm hopeful, optimistic that we're going to have something in some way, shape, and form of a podcast before the start of the season. I don't know exactly what that is because I knew he just released his news yesterday as we're taping this. And so, that was important for him to get that going and get momentum on that. And he's still got some more hires to make. So I know he's got a lot of stuff up in the air. And so hopefully we can kind of get that stuff sorted out sooner than later, because I know now that's a priority for him, and it's certainly a priority for me too.
All right, Bruce, thanks for taking the time out of your schedule, and good luck this season doing games on Fox Sports and Fox Sports More.
My pleasure. Thanks for talking to me.